What's up, Minglers? It's time for another Q&A video, and I'm right here in the recording studio, so you get to see a little bit of where I work right now. But I have two distinctive features that I'm lacking from the previous people who did these videos. One, I don't have Steve's beard. I'm kind of envious of you. But yeah, so it's not as badass, but hey, at least I'm me. And I don't have Christina's stunning good looks or her accents. So it won't sound nearly as cool, but I've got a long list of questions to get to, so we're going to get to it, and hopefully put this thing up soon. But first question comes from the lovely Allison Jacobs, and her question is, what makes you happy? And so, Allison, there's a lot of things that make me happy. First one being, I love being outside. I love going on walks. I especially love it when it goes from winter to spring. And so I love being outside when the temperature is really nice. It's not too hot, not too cold. Going outside when the air is still and you can just look up and see the stars. I love being outside. It's awesome. And it really makes me happy a lot of the time. And then music. I love being a musician. So I love the looks on people's faces when they're enjoying it. I love being over at the karaoke bars and knowing that it helps them get into it a little bit, because there's a lot of times when I was the first one, nobody wanted to go before it, and then all of a sudden I went, and all of a sudden everybody was enjoying it, and everybody was going up and doing karaoke. So the fun is seeing people have fun, and so that makes me happy all the time. And then I've got to pander to the group since this is a Mingle video. I love you guys. You guys make me happy. So I love talking to you. I love hanging out right there on Godless Mingle. And California people, hopefully before too long I'll be able to join you. But I'm still working out, trying to figure out the orders. But hopefully before too long I'll have a decision. But that's coming up later. So hopefully I'll be able to see you guys in person before too long. But next one comes from Kanina, and tell me what it's like where you live. It's really nice. Well, I don't live in big city Japan, so a lot of times you see like shots of like Tokyo or Nagasaki, which are like the big cities and packed in the streets. But it's not like that here, and so it's really nice. I think Sasebo is about 20,000 people, and so it's really nice. And I love the weather. It's a very tropical climate, and so it's just really nice, really cool, and I love it here. What's your favorite local food? My favorite local food is curry, and I know it comes from other places, but curry in Japan is especially good. I love spicy food, so curry definitely gets my vote. And describe the food that you find disgusting. I don't really like sushi that much, and so I'm not a huge sushi fan. So sushi is one of those that I just never got into, and so I don't find it that appealing. Next question is from Harriet, and she asked me, what grosses you out? One of the things that's my biggest pet peeve and really grosses me out is people smacking their food and then slurping. Like, my roommate does it all the time. He'll go in the room and he'll just sit there and he'll slurp and he'll smack his food, and he'll do that for a long time, and it annoys the crap out of me. I hate it when people smack their food, so that really grosses me out. Next one comes from Patricia Cortez. If you could have sex with one cartoon character, who would it be? Well, this is a really tough question, because actually it's not. Jasmine. I remember growing up and I was like, yep, Jasmine is the one cartoon character. But all I can think now with cartoon characters is the video After Ever After. And so if you haven't looked it up on YouTube, look up After Ever After, because it's hilarious. But he makes up like endings to Disney cartoons and makes fun of the entire thing. But it's hilarious. But next comes from Diana D. What are the biggest cultural differences between America and Japan? Well, one of the biggest ones is kind of a in-home and in-house thing. And when you go into a Japanese home, you don't wait until you're way inside to take your shoes off. Like sometimes people will go in to the house and they'll go sit down and they'll go take their shoes off. But in Japan, you don't do that. When you go into a Japanese home, you take your shoes off when you're going through the door, and then you line them up so that they're facing the door when you're leaving. And so that's kind of a sign of respect toward people's homes, is that you don't have your shoes on when you enter the house, and you line them up with the heels against a step and then facing the door. And so that's kind of one of those cultural differences. And another thing is the way they do festivals is amazing. They have celebrations for everything in Japan, and I really like it. It's always really colorful outfits, and they have a lot of fun doing that stuff. Like I went to the Yabusame Festival, which is the samurai festival, and they did the whole 9 yards. The blessing the horses and praying for the rains, praying to the gods for rains, and so, or the spirits, that is. And so it was interesting, but at the same time, it's like it's a very cultural thing. And so that's very different from, like, American culture. But also, she says, are you planning on moving back to America? Yes. Yeah, I'm only here for a short time, and so I think it's only about a year at most that I have left here. So I will be back in America, and still finding out where that's going to be. I'm hoping that it's going to be California. In fact, I'm pushing for San Diego, but I have to see, because I haven't gotten that figured out yet. The next question comes from Patricia Cortez. Why is it going to take you 2 days to make a video about answering questions? Well, it's a little more complicated than that, because 1, I don't have a webcam, 2, I don't have a camera phone. And so I use my camera, that my roommate is always in the room. So it makes it, I can't go in my room and do this. So otherwise I'd be bothering him. And so I have to figure out where I'm going to do it. And so that's why. Next question comes from Roselyn. And it's not one question, it's a bunch of questions. So thank you, Roselyn. You are awesome. First one is, what's your story? And my story is a good one. I kind of like my story. I didn't like it at first because it's not necessarily as jazzy as some people's stories, but at the same time, it's not like one of those stories where people are like, yeah, I've had a horrible life. I was adopted at 8 months old, and so my entire family is adopted. And I went to a foster family when I started out, when I came out of the hospital, but since I was only there for 8 months, I don't really remember it. But I remember going back to her house a number of times during that time. But the interesting thing is, the 4 of us that started out in the house, we were all related in some fashion. My sister, who's 2 years older than me, I'm full-blood related to. And then I have 2 brothers who I'm half related to. 1 brother on my mom's side, 1 brother on my dad's side. And so they're not related to each other at all. But we're related to, my sister and I are related to both of them in a half sense. And then we have 3 others who all came from the same family. And so they're all full biologically related. And so they came together. And so we had 7 of us for a while. And so, I mean, that's a really interesting story, because my dad was originally a biker, and my mom was a bartender. And so you can guess where they met. They met at a biker bar. And then my mom became a social worker at the SRS office. But mostly she ran, like, the computers and the phones. So that's how she got hooked up and ended up getting, like, the adoptions. And my dad went to working on Union Pacific Railroad. And so it's a very good story, because then I became an atheist at 22, because we grew up in the church, and I did everything with the church. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it, but mostly because I got to make some really good friends there, and a lot of them that I still have. And so we haven't gotten so out of touch in that sense that we drifted away. And so my dad asked me, because he started working as an elder in the church. I say working. He didn't really get paid for it. But he became an elder in the church. And so he asked me when he heard that I was an atheist. And he was like, hey, what's going on? I was like, well, this is a decision that I've been coming to for a long time. And so he looks at me and he goes, oh, okay. He's like, is it something, he asked me, is it something we did? And I was like, no, it's just a decision that I came to on my own. And so he was very accepting of it. He was very open to it. And both of my parents still love us. And one of my other sisters is an atheist, and so we got on the same page at some point after I went into the military. And so the last time I was home on leave, I talked to her for the longest that I've ever talked to her, because we used to fight all the time. But it was so much fun. But that's my story. That was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But her next question is, are you or have you ever been married? No. I've been single, but mostly because I always tell myself I'm too busy, but it's just that I never actually had the commitment to do it, to go into a relationship. I've been in 3 relationships my entire life. One of them lasted a year, and so, I mean, I had fun, but it broke off because religion. It's an excuse. But, yeah, it didn't work out all that well. But then other than that, it was just, I mean, I haven't found the right situation for me. And so I hope to find it, but I have not been married, no. Do you have or do you want kids? Yes, I love kids. I went to daycare when I was younger, and so I helped, not only did I get to hang out with a bunch of people that I got to know really well, and that I'm still friends with to this day, but I also got to help out with a lot of the younger kids. And so that's something that I've always loved doing. I've always loved helping out. I've always loved helping bring up kids. And so, yes, I do want them someday. How old are you? I'm 26. What is your nationality? I don't know. Mostly because I haven't done a whole lot of research into my biological family, but my adopted mother is part Kickapoo, and so a Native American tribe, and my dad is part Cherokee. And my mom is also part Danish. And so, I mean, that's not my biological heritage, but it's my adopted heritage. So I always consider that my heritage anyway. But most importantly, Coke or Pepsi? Coke. But mostly because I've always thought, well, Pepsi tasted like watered down Coke. And so if that's not the right answer, let me know down in the comments. And I will change my answer just for you, Rosalind. So let me know. Next one comes from Nick Parente. If you were to wake up a pachyderm the next week, what would you trample first? The system. That's right. The system. No. Cars. Because I think it would be fun. Just for fun. Next question comes from Andy Frost, and it's another shotgun list, so thank you for that. First one, have you ever done anything sexual with the person of the same sex? No. Came close? No. What's your favorite dessert? I'd say anything fruit, but banana pudding I really like. I don't have much of a sweet tooth, so it mostly revolves around fruit. Could you be a nudist? Yes. But it would take me a little time to become comfortable with it, but I could do that, yes. Are you able to say a man is good-looking without feeling weird? Yes. Of course, I was a choir guy growing up. I grew up doing music all the time, and so it was mostly girls in those choirs, so I was around the conversation a lot, so I can say it, but it's not going to be in a, damn, that dude is fine sort of sense. No. Would never happen that way. But yes, I can admit when a guy is good looking. But next question, why won't you accept my popsicle? Well, Andy Frost, because you haven't offered it. But I have popsicles in the basement. I really don't. But I had to say something really goofy in a serious accent. In a serious way. But anyway, I digress. How many pillows do you sleep with? 2 usually, but it's been 1 since I got here, because they don't give us any. But next one, What is your ideal temperature? I would say between the mid-70s and low 80s. So thank you for your questions. Next question comes from Patricia Cortez. Tweedledee or Tweedledum? Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. So Tweedledum is the common link, so I would say Tweedledum. But the next question comes from Nikki Hauser. Yes or no? Well, Nikki, no means yes. And you know the rest of this line. So, no. Do you think you could survive in the wilderness alone? This one comes from Jason Ryan. Could you build a fire? Could you make a fire, build a shelter, find food and water? As far as building a fire, yes. Build a shelter, probably. But as far as finding food and water, I'm terrible with directions, so I would never be able to find my way back to where I was. So I would be terrible at it, so you probably got me on that one. No, I wouldn't be able to. But Nick Teeples asks, what is the one luxury item you feel that you couldn't live without? My computer. I love my computer because I can do everything on it. My music, and I can talk to people. So my computer would definitely be the answer. Next one comes from Jason Ryan. What is your favorite Bob Dylan song? Bob Dylan was one of them who went by the wayside for me, mostly because I listen to everything. And so in doing so, sometimes you neglect the staples. And so I was never one to listen to Bob Dylan, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't, because I know that he's one of the icons, so I would definitely listen to him. And so maybe now that you've asked the question, I'll have to go for it. So thank you for asking that. Next one comes from Sarah Spagnola. What's your favorite animal and why? Lemur. Don't ask me why. It must be the rings. Rings are important. Next one comes from Matt Piscitello. Do you want to build a snowman? Yes. Nels asked me, why did you not include me in your list of hot linked names? Well, Nels, I'm sorry. I went through a list of people that I was interacting with at the time, and so I'm sorry. I guess I talked to you a little bit farther back than that. So I will make sure to include you the next time, and I will tag you in this video, so you will be in the list of hot linked names for this video. So you can be happy about that one. Next one comes from Patricia Cortez, and this is the last question. And it is, if an orange is orange, why isn't a lime called a green and a lemon called a yellow? Well, lemon being yellow is obvious, because obviously the person that named a lemon didn't want to call it yellow, because he wasn't ever going to be a Coldplay fan, and he knew that Coldplay was going to write a song called Yellow. So, because Coldplay was going to write a song called Yellow, you don't want to call the fruit yellow, because there's too much yellow going on. So, I don't know what I'm saying, so if this is getting awkward, just bear with me. We're almost at the end. But a lime called a green, that's just not fun. There's no fun in that. But I don't know is the answer. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I wasn't there. But thank you everybody for submitting your questions. I love a lot of them, and thank you for working on them, but for giving me ideas, and thank you for listening to this video, listening to me ramble on and answer your questions. And so I hope you all had fun, and I hope you all watch when other people come out with Q&A videos as well, because I know Kayla's got one coming out pretty quick, and there should be some other ones. Nick is going to be coming out with his, so make sure you check their videos out as well. But this was mine, so thank you for watching, and I will talk to you all later, and hopefully I'll see you in the comments section. So, peace.